What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Each Adventure channel. My name is Josh, and in today's video we're going to do something a little bit different. This footage that you're watching right here is actually from right after the beta demo, and if you watch that beta demo video, you'll hear me mention that I had some microphone issues throughout the day. And unfortunately, those issues persisted pretty much the rest of the entire day. And so this ride that I went on with ADV Light, which is my buddy Garrett, and another guy named Phil, which goes by the handle of Flat Bill Phil, we all went out for a ride after the demo, and unfortunately I didn't get any sound from that. And it's kind of a bummer because I really enjoyed that ride, mainly because, you know, I was riding a TTR and those guys were riding KTMs and betas, so, you know, it was just kind of fun to let the TTR do its thing amongst a group of bikes that it really didn't belong in. So anyways, I was trying to figure out the best way to use this footage, and I remembered that I actually had some footage from about 2 years ago. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to put together a little ghost race between myself on the same bike, on the same trail. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Alright, now this footage that you're seeing right here is from July 1st of 2017. So this is actually right after I got the TTR all put back together and fixed up, and I went out with my brother-in-law there on his quad, and this is me kind of explaining to him that we're going to go on Backbone, and it runs up along the ridge there. So what we're going to do is overlay this footage on top of the footage from after the beta demo, which was on June 8th of this year, so 2019.
Yeah, Backbone Trail is really cool. It's one of my favorite trails here.
Alright, so this is Backbone Trail at Hungry Valley, and it's a black diamond, one-way, 50-inch trail. And it runs kind of right through the center of the park. So what we're going to do is bring in the other camera, and then the footage syncs up right here. So as of this point, you can definitely tell I'm taking off in the newer footage. I was actually kind of shocked when I first started looking at this. So basically what I'm going to do is take you guys through the entire trail, and then we're going to look at some milestone markers and see what the time difference is at different portions of the trail, and then overall at the very end, just how much faster I was able to complete this trail, basically 2 years in the future. So I mentioned that this is a black diamond trail, and really it probably shouldn't be. If you're familiar with any of the state parks in California, the trail rating system is a little lenient, I guess you could say, on what gets classified as an intermediate and black diamond. The first and last sections of this trail are pretty flowy, and they kind of basically look like this. The reason why I think it's probably classified as a black diamond is that there's a section right in the middle where there's like cliffs on the right and left side, and there's some pretty good uphills and downhills and stuff in that section too. So, but for the most part, I mean, the trail itself is not that hard, but it can get a little sketchy in some spots, which you'll see coming up. Also keep in mind that my main goal of this ride right here was to outride the 500s behind me. So that was not the goal of the other footage, but I did have my brother-in-law behind me on that one, and you know, I felt back then that I was moving at a pretty good pace, but this ride with Garrett and Phil was something quite a bit different. So like I said, my goal was to lead the 500s, and me and Garrett like to give each other a hard time, so, you know, if I can attempt to show them up on a 230 trail bike, I'm definitely going to take that opportunity if I can get it.
Oh, legs are so tired.
So at this point we're about a third of the way through the trail, and this is our first marker right here. So as of that sign, the old me is about 17 seconds behind the new me, which isn't too bad, I guess. Makes it seem relatively close, but you'll see later that things changed quite a bit. So you can see in the top camera, I'm just now passing that marker sign. This second section is where it starts to get pretty gnarly. So you can see it kind of go over this sweeping turn here, and then it starts to kind of switch back down this hill, and you can see off to the left and then over here on the right that it's like just kind of these sheer cliffs, and I think this is why it has that black diamond rating, is because even though the trail itself isn't that hard, the terrain can be, you know, a bit intimidating, especially for like a beginner rider. But this is also my favorite section of the trail. So you kind of sweep around this corner here, and then you head up this hill, and then it's like non-stop like hill climb switchbacks for, you know, probably the next minute or so. It's pretty great. It's pretty great, and I've always been pretty good at going uphill, so I've never really struggled with this section. It's been more like the fast, flowy riding, and especially downhills. If this trail was in reverse, this section, I think, for me, at least back then, would have been a lot harder. You see, you kind of go around this turn, and it's like another long, steep uphill, and then go around this next turn, and it's another long, steep uphill. And so you can see in the top footage that I'm barely just at that bottom hill, that first section of the hill. So right here is actually where I think I lost a little bit of time. So you see up on the top left video that I take this turn off to the right. I don't know why, but I think that kind of slowed me down a little bit, and then I'm going pretty slow through this section. That turn is really soft sand, and it's like, you know, for me back then, sand was really hard to ride through, so I think I kind of lost like a little bit of confidence through there. But the fact that I took the wider turn, I think shaved at least a couple seconds off of that uphill. So since we were kind of looking at the smaller camera, we probably missed the fact that we passed one of the other markers, so we'll kind of point it out in the smaller video, but you can see in the main one I'm kind of flying through this flowy stuff. But you'll see right here in a second, we pass another trail. There's a second trail that comes in right here at the top of the hill, which is right here. And so as of this point, the newer me is about 41 seconds in front of the older me now. So really kind of opening up. And then, you know, where I used to kind of struggle with this faster flowy stuff, I mean, I could ride it just fine. It wasn't scary, but I was scared to carry any speed on it because I didn't really know how to corner very well. And so now, since I've gotten better with like my cornering and my downhills, because we start hitting some downhill sections here, we just kind of blow it wide open for pretty much the rest of the trail. Another difference that I noticed between my riding then and now is you'll see like I keep hitting these little jumps like on the trail, and before I really didn't know how to hit those. Sometimes I'm jumping fine, sometimes my front end would dive, so it was really scary to hit those, especially like on some of these downhill sections like this one. You know, there'll be like a little jump right in the middle of the trail, and you know, back then it was it was really scary for me to hit those. So that's one thing I noticed, I think, that really contributes to the speed. Like there was one right there. Another thing too is I noticed that I tend to use the trail a little bit better in terms of like navigating around obstacles and kind of going, you know, back and forth, trying to find the right line through the trail, and really kind of using the edges and stuff to you know, help, you know, push me around the corners and be able to carry my speed and stuff through the corners. So here's another fun kind of uphill section too that has some little bumps and jumps and stuff in it, which kind of makes it interesting. You see, like right here, like I'm kind of using the berm like on the sides of the trails just to kind of to keep my speed flowing through these sections. There's another one of those jumps, and another one. So one other thing that I noticed when I ran this trail this last time in the newer footage was that I could have sworn that parts of this trail had been paved just to kind of prevent erosion. So if you look at the footage on the top, you can kind of see there's like cracks in the trail, and I thought for the longest time that was pavement. I don't know if it is, and there's just dirt over it now, or if maybe they removed it, or if it's just kind of that adobe clay stuff where once it dries out it looks kind of like concrete. Or kind of like asphalt, but That's one thing I remember about this trail from the very first time that I did it was it looked like there were sections of it that were paved. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So I guess I don't know if we just got it on a good day or if they ended up taking that out. But you can see I'm just kind of flying over these little jumps, these little trail jumps. We're basically more than 2/3 of the way through now, and now it's just kind of this flowy stuff, and then it's going to descend downhill pretty quickly, and then it basically ends at another trail called Vic's Cat's Trail. So basically once we hit that point, we'll stop and then wait for the old me to catch up. It's funny to watch that old footage now because prior to this, my only real experience had been the CRF250L, and I hadn't ridden a Eurobike, and I had some interesting commentary on that.
I wonder if this is what it feels like to ride like a Beta or a Husqvarna or something. Because if that's the case, maybe I've been missing out. Maybe there's something to all the rage. Maybe? I don't know. I still can't justify spending $10,000 on one though. That I just cannot do.
So while that hasn't changed much, I have had a chance to spend some pretty significant amount of time with a Beta, and I did get a chance to ride a couple Huskies and even a KTM 500. So definitely tell what all the rage is about for sure. But there's something about this TTR. I just have so much fun on this bike. It's ridiculous. Like it shouldn't be that much fun. But it's just a blast, and even more so when I get to ride with some of the more fancier bikes, because I feel like a total underdog, and it's just that much more rewarding when I'm able to more or less keep up with everybody. So you can see here, this is the last descent before we hit the gate, and basically right there at the gate I managed to beat my old time by 1 minute and 56 seconds, which is pretty insane. So as soon as we wait for Garrett to catch up, we'll go ahead and make the other video bigger and then crank up the audio a little bit, and then finish out the older trail ride. Just waiting for Garrett. Oh, there he is. Bringing up the rear, per the norm. Actually, that's not really true. Garrett's a lot faster than I am, especially out in the open desert, but I tend to have maybe a little bit of an advantage in this tighter trail type stuff. So here we go, let's go ahead and make the other video bigger. And this is that last downhill section before you hit the gate. And you can see like some of these I'm just rolling over the little jumps and really going pretty slow. Doesn't help that you can't see the front fender in the shot, which is kind of weird since it was a GoPro, but this is that last descent, and then you'll see the gate right here in a second. But I mean, you can just see how slow I am going down the hill. I used to be terrified of going down hills. But there we go. 1 minute and 56 seconds later.
Oh.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, please let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button. If you are new here, please subscribe to see more adventures just like this one. For information about my riding gear or the various ways you can help support the channel, please check out the links below or head over to www.eachadventure.com. I'll see you in the next one.